The Grand Galactic Council's chamber floated high above a shattered planet, its walls glowing with alien energy. Thousands of species from across the galaxy had gathered, each one claiming the right to speak, to command, to dominate. Reptilian emperors flexed their claws. Insectoid queens clicked their mandibles with impatience. Gigantic, armored warriors from distant star systems adjusted their weapons, their presence radiating deadly intent. And then came the humans. Only one request had been sent. A single human, Captain Aiden Cross, had been nominated to represent Earth. One man, no fleet, no armies, no advanced weapons of alien design. Just a single warrior from a planet they all considered primitive. The council erupted in laughter. One human among empires? Ridiculous, a Zorak warlord hissed, his claws tapping the armrest. They cannot possibly survive a day in this chamber, clicked an insectoid queen, her antennae vibrating with amusement. Perhaps it is a joke, said a Varan noble, his wings flaring in contempt. The humans send only one? What arrogance, or what ignorance? Inside a small waiting area behind the chamber doors, Captain Aiden Cross sat silently. His uniform was simple, reinforced with light armor designed for mobility. His eyes were sharp, scanning the arena and the holographic displays that projected the council members' reactions. Every laugh, every sneer, every dismissive comment was noted. Every detail would matter. A human ambassador leaned close, whispering nervously, "Captain, they think this is a joke. The entire council believes you are nothing more than a toy to entertain them." Aiden did not respond. He had expected this. He had trained for years for impossible odds, and this moment, mocked by the galaxy's most powerful empires, was the one he had prepared for. His calm demeanor belied the storm of focus inside his mind. The chamber doors opened, revealing the massive arena where the council's trials would take place. Light beams crisscrossed the floor, marking zones for combat. Holograms displayed previous battles and victories of legendary alien champions. Every seat in the council was occupied by beings that had fought and won wars across entire star systems. And yet, one human stands, muttered a Creel delegate, shaking its multi-limbed head. This ape will not last an hour. The audience across the galaxy, watching the live broadcast, laughed along. For them, humanity was an untested species, incapable of surviving the dangers of the council chamber. They had been laughed at for centuries, ignored, dismissed as weak, soft, and fragile. Aiden rose, standing straight and calm. His eyes scanned the chamber, focusing on each alien warrior, each senator, each judge. He said nothing. Words were unnecessary. His presence alone demanded attention. The first council speaker, a massive reptilian warlord with scales as sharp as knives, bellowed, "Bring him forward. Let the human show us how he survives among gods and monsters." The doors slid open. Aiden stepped into the chamber. His height was average, his frame lean. Nothing about him suggested the might of a warrior. Yet, the silence that followed his entrance was deafening. For the first time, the laughter paused. He did not run. He did not falter. His every step was measured, calm, and deliberate. He stood at the center of the chamber, a single human surrounded by empires that spanned light years. A mere human, the Zorak warlord muttered, though the edge of doubt had begun to creep into his tone. The insectoid queen's antennae twitched. It cannot be. No human could. The Varan noble folded his wings against its back, watching with a mixture of curiosity and unease. Even the Creel Hive delegates leaned forward, their many eyes fixed on the human warrior. Aiden Cross raised one hand slightly, signaling that he was ready. His stance was simple but precise, every muscle prepared. He was calm, focused, and observant. The council began their series of challenges. The first test was simple, or so the aliens thought. A holographic arena projected obstacles, traps, and simulated attacks from some of the galaxy's deadliest species. Aiden moved with precision, avoiding the dangers, calculating each step. His body was fast, agile, but it was his mind that guided him. The aliens began to murmur. How does he predict every strike? Asked one Creel delegate. He is only human, hissed the Zorak warlord. He should fail. But the audience across the galaxy had begun to lean forward. The suspense was growing. The human did not appear afraid. The human did not appear weak. One man had silenced a room that had laughed for hours. Aiden dodged the simulated strikes of a massive reptilian champion, rolled beneath the swing of an energy blade from an insectoid warrior, and used the momentum of a holographic shawl giant to throw it off balance. Each movement, precise and unyielding, challenged everything the council had assumed about humans. A ripple of tension spread through the chamber. The insects clacked their mandibles in unease. The reptilians flexed their claws nervously. The Varens twitched, uncertain. The ambassador whispered again. Captain, they are beginning to fear you. Aiden did not respond. Fear was irrelevant. Respect had to be earned through action, not words. Every step he took, every dodge, every calculated strike, reminded the galaxy that humans were not fragile. They were unpredictable, clever, and relentless. The first mockery of the council had ended. Laughter had vanished. Suspicion had begun. And outside, across countless planets, trillions of beings watched in silence, captivated by the lone human who dared to challenge the might of the galaxy's greatest empires. Aiden Cross had not moved a single muscle in arrogance. Yet he had already won the first battle, not against a champion, but against the doubt and scorn of the entire council. The council had mocked humanity, and one human was about to prove them all wrong. The chamber doors opened, and the first challenger entered. A massive Zorak warlord stepped forward, taller than any human could imagine. Its claws glinted in the council's glowing light, and its eyes burned like molten gold. The council watched with amusement, certain that the human would be crushed in moments. Captain Aiden Cross did not flinch. He stood his ground, observing the alien carefully. Every movement, every twitch of muscle, every shift in balance was noted. He did not rely on strength alone. He relied on precision, timing, and intelligence. The Zorak roared, a sound that echoed across the chamber and sent shivers through the audience. With a swift swing of its claw, it aimed directly at Aiden's head. The human ducked, then rolled, then leapt to his feet, using a nearby pillar as leverage to push himself forward. The alien's claw slammed into the stone, sending sparks flying. The council murmured, "Impossible," one reptilian emperor whispered. "No human can move like that." Aiden countered with a calculated strike, not a full power punch, but a precise hit to the joint of the alien's arm. The Zorak staggered slightly, off balance. That tiny moment was all Aiden needed to maintain his advantage. The chamber erupted with tension. The council had expected a quick victory. Instead, the human was dodging, countering, surviving. The next wave of challengers arrived. A pair of insectoid warriors, armed with energy blades that hummed and sliced the air, moved with terrifying speed. They attacked in tandem, trying to corner the human. Aiden watched their rhythm, their timing. Then, in one smooth motion, he ducked under the first swing, rolled behind the second, and used the momentum of one attacker to throw the other off balance. Sparks flew as the blade struck the ground. The insectoids clicked their mandibles in confusion. The council members leaned forward, eyes wide. The laughter had vanished. Whispers filled the chamber. This human, he predicts every strike. Aiden did not pause. One of the insectoids lunged again. He sidestepped, grabbed the creature's arm, and used its own force to hurl it into a pillar. The sound of impact echoed through the chamber. For the first time, some of the delegates felt unease. The human was not just surviving. He was controlling the fight. The ambassador whispered to Aiden, "Captain, they're beginning to fear you." Aiden's reply was calm. "Good. Let them fear. Respect comes from action, not words." The final challenger of this first round appeared. A massive Chal warrior, twice the size of the human, with a tail tipped like a hammer, emerged from the chamber doors. Its eyes glowed with malice. Its massive arms flexed as it approached. The audience gasped. The Chal champion was legendary, undefeated for decades. Even the council had acknowledged its might. The human did not flinch. He analyzed the Chal's movements. The first swing came, a hammer-like strike aimed to crush him instantly. Aiden rolled beneath the blow, feeling the ground shake as the weapon hit behind him. He waited, then struck, not with brute force, but with precision. A quick kick to the joint of the alien's leg, a shove to its center of balance. The Chal faltered, shocked that a human could even touch it. The crowd began to murmur in astonishment. Trillions of viewers across the galaxy were watching the impossible unfold. One human had survived the first set of challenges designed to destroy the strongest. The Zorak warlord hissed, "No human should survive this." The insectoid queen's antennae twitched. "It is unnatural. How can one human face us and remain unbroken?" But Aiden's victory was not complete. The Chal recovered, swinging its tail in a wide arc. The human jumped, flipped, and landed precisely behind a holographic barrier. Sparks flew as the tail smashed into the wall. Aiden used the environment to his advantage. Rocks, energy panels, and debris from previous strikes became tools, obstacles, and weapons. Every movement was calculated. Every strike was deliberate. The human was not relying on raw power. He was relying on intelligence, strategy, and human ingenuity. The council leaned forward. Even the most confident species were no longer sure of their judgment. The whispers of doubt spread quickly. One Varen delegate, wings trembling, muttered, "Perhaps we underestimated them. Perhaps one human is capable of much more than we imagined." The Chal lunged again. Aiden dodged, grabbed a nearby energy conduit, and used it to vault over the giant's head. Landing behind it, he delivered a precise strike to a weak point on its armor. The Chal stumbled, unable to recover fully. For the first time, the council members realized the truth. Humanity was not fragile. Humanity was not weak. And one human warrior could change their perception in a single battle. The final bell of the round sounded. The holographic arena dissolved. The challengers had been defeated, not by numbers, not by brute force, but by skill, intelligence, and unwavering courage. Aiden Cross stood in the center, bruised but unbroken. His chest heaved with controlled breaths. Sweat dripped from his brow, but his eyes remained sharp, alert, and calm. The council was silent. The laughter that had filled the chamber when humans requested a seat was gone, replaced with cautious whispers, with unease, with the first signs of fear. Across the galaxy, viewers leaned closer to their screens. One human, alone, had survived the first challenge. And now, everyone wondered, could he survive the next? Aiden looked at the chamber, then at the empty seat humanity had been denied. A spark of resolve shone in his eyes. This was only the beginning. The council had mocked humanity, and one human had just begun to prove them wrong. The council chamber had grown quiet. The first set of challengers had been defeated, and Captain Aiden Cross stood alone, bruised but unbroken. For the first time, whispers replaced laughter. The delegates were no longer confident. Doubt had begun to creep in, but the council was not done. From the shadowed gates of the chamber, new challengers emerged. These were not ordinary warriors. They were the elite of the elite, beings whose names were whispered across star systems in fear and awe, warriors who had fought and won battles against entire fleets. The first was a massive Creel general, its four arms tipped with spinning energy blades. It moved with terrifying speed, striking with precision and power. The second was a Varen sentinel, wings spread wide, armed with crystalline spears that could pierce armor like paper. And the third, towering above them all, was an insectoid queen's champion, covered in black chitin and radiating deadly poison. The council members leaned forward. The challenge was now far beyond what any human could survive, or so they thought. Aiden Cross did not flinch. He studied the trio carefully, noting their movements, their strengths, and their weaknesses. Every flick of the wings, every twitch of a limb, every angle of attack was a clue. The first strike came from the Creel general. For blades spun toward him, each moving faster than the eye could follow. Aiden ducked, rolled, and slid between them, sparks flying as the blades narrowly missed. The Varen sentinel lunged with a spear aimed directly at his chest. Aiden sidestepped, grabbed the spear mid-air, and twisted, sending the attacker staggering. The insectoid champion hissed and struck with a venomous stinger, aiming for the human's heart. Aiden jumped back, narrowly avoiding the poisonous tip, and used the momentum of the strike to push himself toward cover. The council murmured nervously. No human should survive this round, a Zorak warlord whispered. Aiden did not speak. He let his actions do the talking. He moved quickly, strategically, using the environment of the chamber to his advantage. Energy barriers, holographic projections, and shattered pillars became his allies. He dodged, rolled, leapt, and struck in perfect harmony with the attacks of his enemies. One by one, he began to turn their strength against them. The Creel general overextended on a swing. Aiden used its momentum to throw it into a barrier. The Varen sentinel lunged too far. A precise kick sent it tumbling across the chamber floor. The insectoid champion struck too quickly, missing its target and exposing its chitin side to a calculated punch. The audience gasped. Billions across the galaxy watched in disbelief. One human, alone, was not only surviving, but dominating elite champions of the greatest species in the universe. The council could no longer hide their concern. The insectoid queen's antennae twitched in alarm. The Zorak warlord flexed its claws nervously. Even the Varen nobles whispered in worry. The Creel general recovered and charged again, spinning its blades. This time, Aiden did not dodge. He timed his movement perfectly, letting the Creel strike his shoulder pads, then using the contact to flip behind it. He landed a precise strike to its joint, sending sparks as the alien stumbled. The Varen sentinel attacked from the air, spears flashing. Aiden caught one, deflected it, and used the momentum to propel himself toward the insectoid champion. He struck fast, precise, and relentless. The poison-tipped stinger was avoided, and a series of blows sent the alien staggering back. For the first time, the council realized that this human was not just fast or strong. He was clever, adaptive, strategic. Every empire in the chamber had underestimated humans for centuries. They had laughed at them, mocked them, denied them a seat. And now one human was rewriting the rules. The challengers regrouped for a final, coordinated attack. Their speed and strength were unmatched. The chamber shook as they moved together, aiming to overwhelm the human with a single, crushing strike. Aiden paused for a brief moment, breathing steadily. Then, in perfect timing, he moved. He dodged, rolled, and used the attacker's own force against them. The Creel was thrown into the Varen. The Varen's wings were clipped against a wall. The insectoid champion's stinger was deflected into the floor. The challengers fell one by one, not dead but defeated. They could not move effectively, could not strike with precision. Aiden Cross had bested them. The chamber was silent. The council members were stunned. The laughter of earlier sessions had disappeared entirely. The whispers of doubt now turned to uneasy murmurs of fear. The ambassador whispered into Aiden's communicator. "Captain, you are not just surviving. You are changing their perception of humanity. They fear what one human can do." Aiden's reply was calm and focused. "Let them fear. We earn respect, not ask for it." Across the galaxy, trillions of beings watched the broadcast. The disbelief was universal. One human had faced the elite champions of the galaxy and survived. One human had proved that intelligence, strategy, and courage could triumph over size, strength, and reputation. The Council's decision to mock humanity was backfiring. The humans, once dismissed as weak and fragile, were now showing signs of power, skill, and unyielding resolve. Aiden Cross stood tall, surveying the fallen champions. His chest rose and fell steadily. He was bruised and battered, but undefeated. The chamber, and the galaxy, was beginning to understand that humans were not to be underestimated. The trial of strength had begun, and the council's laughter was gone. For the first time, the galaxy was watching a human warrior with respect and fear. The chamber that had once been filled with laughter now carried a different sound, uneasy whispers. Captain Aiden Cross stood in the center, calm but alert, his body bruised and battered from the previous battles. The elite champions of the galaxy lay defeated around him, unable to continue. Every alien present, every member of the Grand Galactic Council, was silent, stunned. The insectoid queen's antennae twitched nervously. Impossible. How can one human overcome our champions? She murmured to herself. The Zorak warlord's claws flexed in frustration. We underestimated them. One human, we thought it would be a joke. And now, his voice trailed off as he stared at the lone figure in the center of the chamber. The other council members shifted in their seats. Even the smallest and weakest species, who had been ignored for centuries, now looked at the human with a mix of awe and fear. Humanity had always been underestimated. The galaxy had laughed at them, denied them a seat, and assumed they were weak. But one human warrior had justified every expectation. Aiden Cross did not move immediately. He stood tall, scanning the chamber with sharp, calculating eyes. Every whisper, every nervous glance, every shift in posture was recorded in his mind. He understood that fear had replaced confidence in the council. A Varen noble leaned toward its neighbor. They are clever, it whispered, wings trembling. One human. They survived the impossible. What else can they do? The ambassador, watching from the edge of the chamber, whispered to Aiden, Captain, their fear is growing. They're beginning to realize humanity is not to be underestimated. Aiden's reply was calm. Let them fear. Respect comes from action, not words. The council had not yet fully understood the consequences of their mockery. A human had survived against elite champions. That alone was shocking, but it was only the beginning. The rising fear spread like wildfire. Alien leaders realized that humans could not only survive, they could adapt, outthink, and outmaneuver even the most skilled warriors in the galaxy. The insectoid champion, though defeated, stirred. Its venomous stinger twitched as it tried to rise, only to be pushed back by the careful placement of the arena's energy fields. Even in defeat, the council members recognized that humans were not just fighters, they were strategists. The Zorak warlord finally spoke, its voice trembling with unease. One human has survived. What happens if they continue? The reptilian emperors exchanged glances, their claws flexing nervously. We laughed, one hissed. We denied them a seat. We thought they were weak. And yet this human. Aiden crossed his arms, waiting. He did not need to boast. The presence of one human, standing unbroken while the galaxy's elite champions fell around him, was enough to send a clear message. Humanity was not fragile, and they were not to be dismissed. The next phase of the trial was about to begin. The council had decided to bring out their most feared warriors, beings whose names inspired terror across the galaxy. But even as they prepared, the rising fear had set in. Some of the council members hesitated. Doubt had replaced certainty. Fear had replaced arrogance. The ambassador leaned close again. Captain, this is the moment. The galaxy is watching. If you succeed here, humanity's place among the stars will be undeniable. Aiden nodded slightly, his eyes narrowing. Then we will succeed. The first of the new challengers entered the chamber, a massive Chal warlord, its armor black as a void, its twin blades gleaming with energy. It was said to have never been defeated in centuries of combat. The alien's gaze swept the chamber, underestimating the human once again. But this time, something was different. The whispers in the chamber were louder, the fear more tangible. The Chal hesitated slightly, sensing the confidence radiating from Aiden Cross. Aiden moved forward with precision. He did not attack recklessly. Every step, every movement was calculated. The Chal swung its massive blades, aiming to crush him in a single strike. Aiden dodged, rolled, and used the environment to his advantage. The alien's swing smashed into a holographic barrier, sending sparks into the air. The council watched in awe. One human was not just surviving. He was controlling the battlefield. Every alien that had been confident before now realized that humans were more than physical strength. They were cunning, adaptable, and relentless. The Chal roared, swinging again and again, But Aiden used each attack to learn its rhythm. Each dodge, each counter, each precise strike weakened the alien, slowly but surely. The audience could see the shift. Confidence had turned to panic. The galaxy had underestimated humans. Even the insectoid queen, who had mocked humanity earlier, whispered to herself, They are not weak. One human has bested our champions and survived the impossible." Aiden struck with precision, disabling the Chalice balance without killing it. The alien collapsed, unable to continue. The council was silent. Every whisper was now filled with respect and fear. Outside the chamber, across countless star systems, trillions of viewers held their breath. One human had survived, not only elite champions, but the most feared warriors of the galaxy. Humanity had been mocked, underestimated, and denied a seat. And now, one man had begun to rewrite the story of his species. The rising fear was complete. The council understood that humanity could no longer be ignored. The laughter had died, replaced by a sober realization. One human warrior had shown them that their assumptions were wrong, and that the consequences of denying humanity were greater than anyone had imagined. Aiden Cross stood tall, surveying the chamber. He had survived the trial of strength. He had proven that humans were not weak, not fragile, and not to be dismissed. And he knew that the next challenges would be harder, but humanity was ready. The council had mocked humans, and humans were beginning to show the galaxy exactly why that was a mistake. The council chamber had grown heavy with tension. The whispers of fear and awe had replaced all laughter. Captain Aiden Cross had defeated wave after wave of elite alien champions, leaving the council stunned and uncertain. Every member now understood one simple truth. Humanity could not be dismissed. But the trial was not over. The chamber doors opened with a deafening hiss, and a figure emerged from the shadows. The last challenger, the strongest warrior in the galaxy, undefeated for centuries. Its armor glowed like molten metal, and its eyes burned with a fire that could pierce steel. Every step it took shook the chamber floor. The council fell silent. Even the insectoid queen's antennae froze mid-motion. The Zorak warlord's claws clenched. The Varen's wings trembled with unease. This was a final test. If Aiden failed, humanity would be humiliated forever. Aiden Cross did not flinch. He had prepared for this. He studied the giant figure carefully, noting the movements, the weaponry, and the subtle rhythms of the warrior's attacks. Every detail was recorded in his mind. The last challenger roared, a sound that echoed across the chamber and even beyond the planet. Then, with a sudden explosive movement, it charged. Its massive arms swung with unimaginable speed, aiming to crush the human in a single strike. Aiden rolled, narrowly avoiding the blow. The chamber shook as the warrior's fist smashed into the floor where he had stood seconds before. Sparks and debris flew into the air. The audience gasped. Across the galaxy, trillions of viewers held their breath. One human, alone, faced the strongest warrior in existence. One human could either fail or achieve the impossible. The last challenger attacked again. This time, a spinning strike aimed to cut the human in half. Aiden ducked, rolled to the side, and grabbed the warrior's arm, using its momentum to flip over its massive back. The warrior roared in frustration as it crashed into a barrier. The council whispered nervously, "Impossible! How can one human?" Aiden did not speak. He let his actions show the truth. Every movement, every strike, every dodge was precise. Every human flaw, fragility, weakness, unpredictability, was replaced by intelligence, agility, and courage. The final battle raged across the chamber. The last challenger was strong, fast, and relentless. But Aiden was clever, adaptive, and unyielding. He used the environment to his advantage, flipping over pillars, sliding beneath attacks, and striking at weak points. Each time the alien struck, Aiden anticipated it, turning its own strength against it. The council members leaned forward, some trembling. They had underestimated humanity, and now they feared the consequences. The Zorak warlord muttered, "One human, is rewriting the rules of combat. Aiden landed a precise strike to the warrior's armor joint, causing sparks to fly. The last challenger stumbled, but recovered quickly. Its eyes blazed with anger and disbelief. It had never been challenged like this, never faced an opponent who could survive every strike and counter with intelligence. The final attack came, a powerful, spinning blow aimed to end the battle instantly. Aiden timed his dodge perfectly. He rolled under the swing, used the warrior's momentum to propel himself upward, and delivered a precise strike to its chest panel. The impact sent the giant warrior crashing to the ground. The chamber went silent. The audience gasped. Trillions of viewers watched the impossible unfold. One human had defeated the greatest warrior in the galaxy. The council members could not believe their eyes. The insectoid queen's antennae drooped in defeat. The Varan's wings sagged. The Zorak warlord's claws unclenched, and even the reptilian emperors looked uneasy. Aiden Cross stood tall, chest rising and falling steadily. He was bruised, bloodied, and exhausted, but undefeated. One human had survived every challenge. One human had proven that intelligence, courage, and determination could overcome strength, size, and centuries of experience. The ambassador whispered into his communicator, "Captain, you've done the impossible. Humanity has earned its place." Aiden nodded slightly. This is only the beginning. The galaxy has yet to see what humans can truly do. The council had mocked humanity. They had laughed, denied, and underestimated. But one human had not only survived, they had conquered. The laughter had vanished. The mockery had turned to respect, and the fear of what humans might do next had begun to spread across the chamber. Outside the chamber, across countless star systems, trillions of beings watched in awe. Humanity, long dismissed as weak and fragile, had shown the galaxy its true power. One human warrior had rewritten expectations, challenged the strongest, and survived against impossible odds. The last challenger, once undefeated, lay on the floor, defeated but alive. Aiden had not killed. It was not necessary. The demonstration was enough. Respect and fear were earned through skill, intelligence, and courage. The council's laughter had backfired spectacularly. Humanity, once ignored and ridiculed, now stood as a force to be reckoned with. One human had shown them all the truth. Never underestimate a species that had survived on a fragile, dangerous world. Aiden Cross looked around the chamber, taking in the shocked faces of the council members. Every empire that had doubted humans now understood that the galaxy had changed. One human had begun a legacy that would be remembered for centuries. The final bell of the challenge rang through the chamber. Silence followed, heavy and complete. The council had no choice but to acknowledge what they had witnessed. Humanity had proven itself worthy. One human had faced the strongest warrior in the galaxy, and won. Aiden Cross had achieved the impossible. The council had mocked humans, and humans had proved them wrong. The council chamber shook as silence fell across the room. For the first time in centuries, the proud Galactic Council did not know what to say. The alien leaders, who once mocked humans as weak apes from a death world, now stared at Captain Aiden Cross. He stood calm in the center of the arena, his uniform torn, his fists bloody, but his eyes sharp. Around him lay the defeated champions of the strongest empires, beaten not by fleets or armies, but by one man. Whispers spread through the hall. The insectoid Varn clicked nervously. The reptilian warlord who had laughed the loudest earlier now avoided Aiden's gaze. "Impossible," one counselor muttered. He should have been crushed. But the truth could not be hidden. Everyone had seen the duel broadcast live across the galaxy. The humans had sent one warrior to prove their strength, and he had done it. Aiden stood tall, his voice steady. "You mocked us. You thought humans were weak. You believed that Earth would kneel. But today you see the truth. Humans do not kneel. Humans rise." His words echoed in the chamber like thunder. The alien leaders shifted uncomfortably. For centuries, the council had believed that power belonged only to the great empires. They thought humans were just another small species struggling to survive. But this one man had shattered that illusion. The High Chancellor, a towering crystalline being, finally rose. "This changes everything," it said, its voice trembling slightly. But some leaders did not want to accept the truth. The Creole warlord slammed his claw on the table. "This proves nothing. One fight does not mean humans deserve a seat among us." The crowd roared with mixed voices, some agreeing, some shouting in anger. The chamber threatened to descend into chaos. Then Aiden raised his hand. The room fell silent again. "You think this is about one fight?" he asked. "No, this is about respect. You treat humans as children. You treat us as weak. But you forget something. Earth is a death world. We were forged in storms, raised among predators, and taught to fight for every breath. What you saw today is only a glimpse of what humanity can do." The words struck hard. Many alien races knew the stories about Earth, but dismissed them as myths. Now, they realized the stories were true. Some of the weaker races, the ones often bullied by larger empires, began to cheer quietly. They saw in humans a new ally, someone who could challenge the arrogant powers. The High Chancellor turned to the council. "The humans have earned their place. The vote will be cast now." The vote began. One by one, empires chose their side. The Creole voted against. The insectoid, Varn, voted against. The reptilian warlords also voted against. They were afraid of losing their power. But then, one by one, the smaller races voted for. The oppressed species who had been silenced for centuries raised their voices. Yes, give Earth a seat. Give humans a place in the council. The votes were counted. For a long moment, it seemed the humans would lose by a narrow margin. Then, shockingly, one of the great powers, the Zorati Dominion, voted for. Gasps filled the chamber. The Zorati were known for their cunning and strategy. If they supported humans, it meant they saw a future where Earth would rise as a true power. The final result was undeniable. Humans had won the vote. The chamber erupted. Some shouted in rage, others in celebration.